Record. All right. Yes. The recording is going on. Yes, Patricia, let us have the three mantra. Susan, you want to do the three mantra?
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, en español es canción.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
Namo Vitragahe, Namo Arihantanam, Namo Setanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsayanam, Namo Loye Savasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savabhavapanasano, Mangalanam Chasarvesi, Paramam Havai Mangalam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namo Vitragaye, Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsayanam, Namo Loye Savasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savabhavapanasano, Mangalanam Chasarvesi, Paramam Havai Mangalam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Namo Vitragaye, Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Ayariyanam, Namo Vatsayanam, Namo Loye Savasahunam, Eso Panchanamukaro, Savabhavapanasano, Mangalanam Chasarvesi, Paramam Havai Mangalam, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Jai Sachidanand, Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand. Wonderful. That sets the stage for our satsang of the self with the self. You see?
Este es
Pote
el
potano
satsang
satsang.
del ser con el ser.
Yeah. Pote
Patu patano. Pote patano.
pote potano satsang. Pote potano satsang. The self being with the self. Being with the self.
Es el ser estando en el ser.
So I share with you now the onwards journey. This is the next satsang on our series of understanding and then being the Gnata Drashta, the being the Knower-Seer. Knower-Seer is not with a comma, it is with a dash, part of the same eternal element.
Yes. Continuamos con este satsang en el entendimiento de ser Gnata Drashta, que es el conocedor y el veedor. Sin coma, es con una rayita porque es uno solo, no son dos.
Our our last satsang. I'm sharing here on the link with you. We had covered 17 pages, and this one we spent initial time away from the exact words of Dada, but then we came back to the words of Dada. And now let me share this. Share button. React share. Do you see this?
Yes.
And we are on page 17. We read about the prajna. Okay, so just read from here. This is a repetition of the last paragraph about prajna. Patricia, please.
Yes. Prajna significa que es el ser el que muestra eso, pero en última instancia, prajna llega a su fin. Mientras haya prajna, uno es el alma pura, Shuddhatma, y el ser original es Paramatma, el ser absoluto. De hecho, son uno y el mismo, pero es solo después de que se obtiene este estado como alma pura, que el otro, Paramatma, ocurre automáticamente.
So the five senses, you see, and the mind, body, speech complex is towards the non-self. It is towards the intellect, is towards the five senses. The intellect and ego follow the five senses, and the self, the knower of what that intellect is doing, what that intellect is showing. To know all of that, the knower is the prajna. Prajna simply sees and knows, you see. And why does it see and know? The answer is this is because that is what is there in front, you see. And that knowing, that seeing continues, you see. But there is a more continuous presence of the self, you and I, in all of that. And that is the Knower-Seer, you see.
Yes. Bueno, están los cinco sentidos y el cuerpo, la mente y las palabras. Y el intelecto va, ve los sentimientos, el intelecto y el ego ven a través de los cinco sentidos. El ser, el conocedor, ven el intelecto, ve lo que hace, ve lo que muestra. Es el conocedor de lo que se está mostrando, es el conocedor y el que ve. Y Prajna está allí, siempre observando lo que está sucediendo enfrente. Y esto continúa en la presencia del ser, que es el conocedor.
So the knowing, seeing element, the knowing, the seer, and the knowing, seeing is unbroken. It is continuous. It is absolutely continuous. It's always there, always there. It is, and the other one that is seen through the intellect and the ego is associated with the changing phases of the six eternal elements, this world, you see. Interactive elements, you see. It's everything continuously changing, continuously changing. Finger, finger moves, finger moves, you see. Oh, continuously changing. And
Em, y conociendo y viendo, y se continúa siempre allí el conocedor y el que ve. Y todo lo visto por el ego y por el intelecto, son las fases de lo que van cambiando siempre. Son los 6 eternos elementos que van cambiando. Y, por ejemplo, como el enojo va a cambiar, el modo del enojo o la ira que va cambiando constantemente.
the one who knows everything is the Knower-Seer, otherwise the other way. The one who is continuously knowing everything is the Knower-Seer.
El que todo el que continúa viendo y conociendo es el conocedor y el que ve.
Questioner, yesterday when he was crying, he could see that he's speaking about himself only. He's saying yesterday when while one was crying, he could see that Chandubai is crying, and at the same time, Dada Bhagwan na asim jai jaikar ho, infinite glorious salutations to Dada Bhagwan, the Lord within, was going on within. So then, who was the one seeing Chandubai, and who was the one singing asim jai jaikar ho?
Interlocutor. Ayer, cuando él estaba llorando, esto se refiere al Faiwan, él podía ver que Chandubai estaba llorando y al mismo tiempo eh, estaba Dada Bhagwan Nasim Jai Cargo, que son las infinitas y gloriosas salutaciones a Dada Bhagwan, el Lord interior. Y se estaba cantando, esto estaba cantándose en tu interior. Entonces, ¿quién era el que estaba viendo a Chandubai y quién era el que estaba cantando a Sim Jai Karho?
So then Dadashri replies, actually the record of Dada Bhagwan Sim Jai Jaikar Ho indeed is constantly playing within. So Dada focus more on the Sim Jai Jaikar answer. So he says that record is playing continuously within. See?
Y Dadashri dice, en realidad, el disco de Dada Bhagwan Sim Jai Karho suena constantemente en nuestro interior, ahí es donde pone el foco Dada.
So then questioner replies, meaning the original tape indeed continues to play within. Now the original tape has different connotation, but anyway, so the questioner can ask all kinds of questions, but Dada Shri replies that is constantly playing at certain times indeed. So the record that plays and the speaker of the record is separate, and this is the one saying Chandubai. So the three happens now. He says, so go on.
El interlocutor quiere decir que la cinta original sigue reproduciéndose en su interior. Tadashi dice, eso está sonando constantemente en ciertos momentos, por lo tanto el disco que se reproduce, el altavoz del disco, está separado y este se ve y este es el que ve a Chandubai.
So there is, the Shri says that intermittently this Radha Bhagwan Nasim Jajakaro is going on within all of them. In this man who was crying, so there is the one who is crying, that is the Pudgal effects, non-self effects, the record of the singing, Chandubai, Dada Bhagwan Nasim Jajukaro is while at the same time going on. He was not singing, he is saying that these two are happening simultaneously. One is he's got emotional, emotions with love-filled emotions, which results in tears at the same time. The man is joining in, or the rhythm of Dada Bhagwan Nasim Jijikaro is also happening inside. You see, so there are these, and the two who is crying, there is the crying one and the singing one are separate, different, and you are the knower of that, knower of both. You see, it's going on.
Yes. Dada dice, el que llora está llorando por efectos de su vida, pero mientras tanto sigue reproduciéndose, cantando el Dada Bhagwana Simcheche Karho. Y esto sucede en su interior, ¿no? Hay una emoción de amor, de fe, y surgen lágrimas en esto. Y el conocedor es el que conoce y ve esto que está sucediendo.
So the questioner is asking, is the pure soul? Is it the pure soul that is saying Chandubai? Dadashri says, all that Chandubai is doing, the seer of that is the buddhi, or the intellect. So the intellect says what Chandubai is doing. See, the intellect says what Chandubai is doing. The intellect says that there is Chandubai is singing, Chandubai, whatever Chandubai is doing, intellect sees that.
Dadashri dice que todo eso que Chandubai está haciendo, el que ve eso es el intelecto.
You see, and so intellect sees what Chandubai, the mind, speech, body complex, is doing. You see, intellect can see that, and the questioner is then for asking, if the intellect is seeing, then how can one be the Knower-Seer?
Entonces, si el intelecto ve, entonces, ¿cómo puede ser uno el que conoce y el que ve?
Now, the other Sri replies, the Knower-Seer is the one who is the seer of all of this. The Knower-Seer is the one who knows all of this at a time. What is the feeling? What is this feeling within? What record is playing? The Knower-Seer knows all such things at a time. There is no separation in this time, seeing this and then seeing this. It's just like the sun. In the light of the sun, everything is being seen in different areas, you see, locations. So in the location of the feeling part, you see, the emotional part, and then that is also a part that is associated with intellect, interpretation, as well as the ego, jumping in and says, wow, emotions coming in, intellect, ego, and then there is the continuous chant of Dada Bhagwan Nasim Jai Jaikar Ho, and the same one, they are coming out. You see, it doesn't, the Knower-Seer doesn't identify this one as Susan or as Luz or Patricia. It just says that this thing is happening there. There is no name there, you see.
Yes. El que conoce y el que ve es aquel que es de todo esto. El que conoce y el que ve es aquel que conoce todo esto a la vez. Y que este sentimiento interior, y qué disco está sonando, y el que conoce y el que ve y sabe todas esas cosas a la vez. dice que esto es como el sol, ¿no? Que bajo la luz del sol todo es visto desde diferentes locaciones. Se puede ver lo emocional, ¿no? Y el intelecto interpreta, el ego también interpreta y el ego lo ve. Dice, y el canto continúa y todo lo que sucede es visto por el conocedor y el que ve. Pero este conocedor y que ve no identifica con nombres, identifica lo que está sucediendo.
And you say the identification comes in when the ego comes in. Oh, I am sad. I am feeling sad. You see, I am this. You see, or I love it so much. I love Dada so much. Or I am. All of those identifications come in. Whereas this is in fact simply happening. You see, this is simply happening. So Dada answers this. The questioner says,
May I translate
please,
what you
yes.
just said? Yes. Dice que que el ego es el que identifica los nombres o lo que está sucediendo, ¿no? Y que dice, bueno, yo estoy triste, yo soy esto, yo amo a Dada, y todas estas identificaciones suceden.
There is no, when in the knowing thing, there is no owner. There is no owner. Owner is the illusion. You see, the owner is the ego. You see, I am singing Dada Bhagwan Asim Jai Jayakar Ho. There automatically is the subtle sense of the owner. I am singing. Oh, I'm singing the Tri Mantra that you became the owner. The words are coming out, the record is playing, and you are saying the words of the Tri Mantra or the Dada Bhagwan Sim Jijikar Ho. See?
Por ejemplo, el ego conoce en estar conociendo no hay dueño. La pertenencia es una ilusión. Es el ego el que dice yo canto da 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 Bhagwan. Y la voz sale y la música sigue saliendo, sigue sucediendo.
See, this question and the answer are very interesting. The next two. Questioner. But is it the pure soul that sees what the intellect is doing? All right. Now, there is.
Es el interlocutor, pero ¿es el alma pura la que ve lo que hace el intelecto?
You see? The Dadashri's reply is more exact because intellect doesn't do anything. Look, see how beautiful and exact Dada is. Dadashri says,
Dada responde Danda y dice que el intelecto en realidad no hace nada, y acá Dada explica profundamente.
Dadashri says it sees the intellect. It sees what the mind is doing. It sees the speech. It sees what the ego is doing. It sees all that. You see? You know, if the person who is singing, when the words are coming out, Dada Bhagwan Simji Jikar, the person says, I am singing, they are singing, you see, then the ego has come in. The ego is coming in. The ego is modifying, is catching on. You see, the ego comes in with the I am this is happening to me. You see, this intellect simply decides whether the singing words are correct or not. Is the singings associated with beautiful rhythm sounds, or is the singing out of harmony, etc. All of that is the role of the ego, you see. And the ego, is the role of the intellect, and the ego follows, you see. And if the intellect will say, oh, you don't know how to sing properly, this is wrong, this is how you sing, you see, then all of that is ego. And so all of this is to be seen. All of this is happening, you see. All of this is happening.
Yes. Dice Dadashri, ve el intelecto, ve lo que hace la mente, ve el que habla y ve lo que hace el ego, ve todo eso. Entonces, lo que sucede cuando se está cantando y el ego interviene, el intelecto interviene y dice, yo estoy cantando, y el ego lo sigue, ¿no? Y aporta el yo o la posesión. Y el intelecto decide si canta bien, si canta mal, si tiene armonía, y el ego lo sigue. Y le dice, no cantas bien. Y todo esto es lo que tiene que ser visto.
So the questioner, it sees as the knower-seer, does it not? The one who is seeing that is the knower-seer, correct? He says, now the questioner has now come to the correct level of understanding. You see, it is, because he realizes that this one that is saying now, the antakaran, the inner machine, you see, the dynamic machine of man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, the mind, intellect, chit, ego, you see, the one who is seeing that, only seeing that, is the knower-seer, correct?
Yes. Interlocutor ve como el que conoce y el que ve, ¿no es así? El que está viendo eso, ese es el que conoce y el que ve, ¿correcto? Acá dice que acá esta pregunta está hecha en un correcto nivel de entendimiento. La maquinaria interna de la mente, el intelecto, el chit y el ego, solo ve, pero el que puede, y esto lo ve el conocedor y el que ve. Esto es visto por el que conoce y ve.
And Dadashri says, yes, that is indeed the self.
Entonces Dadashi dice, sí, eso ciertamente es el ser.
The questioner, and that which sees Chandubai, is that the intellect?
Dadashi dice, el intelecto, y lo que ve Chandubai es el intelecto, interlocutor.
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. That which sees Chandubai, you see, is it the intellect? And the other Shri says, the intellect sees him, and the one who is seeing the intellect is the self. You see, the intellect sees Chandubai, and the one that is seeing the intellect is the self. You see, this is simultaneously happening process. You see, it is happening at the same time. Intellect sees Chandubai, and the one seeing the intellect is the self.
Acá Dadashi dice que el intelecto ve a Chandubai y con mayúsculas, el que ve el intelecto es el ser. Y todo esto sucede a la vez.
This, what the intellect, quote unquote, is doing, okay? What the mind is doing, what the ego is doing, then the knower of all that. In other words, the knower of all of these doing entities, because they are
You can
active.
listen.
Okay. Can you now? Hold on.
Yes. Yes.
The knower
What the
of
intellect is doing.
what the intellect is doing, what the mind is doing, what the ego is doing. Now, the knower of all of this that is involved in the activity of, all of this is active. The knower of all of this activity, the knower of all of that is the self. beyond the self, as the self is the state of Paramatma. Beautiful. Now comes the Paramatma, the absolute self. Beyond the state as the self is the state of Paramatma. Yeah, go on. We go on. We go slowly here.
Yes.
Mm.
El intelecto lo ve.
Mm.
El intelecto lo ve. Y aquel que ve al intelecto es el ser. Lo que está
Oh.
haciendo, lo que la mente está haciendo y lo que el ego está haciendo. El conocedor de todo, eso es el ser.
Mhm.
I continue reading.
Yeah, continue. Finish it. Yes.
Más allá del estado como el ser, más allá del estado como el ser, está el estado de Paramatma. Aquel que se ha convertido en el alma pura va hacia convertirse en Paramatma, que es el ser absoluto. Y aquel que se convierte en Paramatma, para él se manifiesta el Kevalgnan, conocimiento absoluto. En el momento en que el Kevalgnan se manifieste para él, se habrá convertido en Paramatma. Él se habrá vuelto pleno, completo. Él se habrá vuelto digno de obtener el estado de nirvana, liberación final. Por lo tanto, tú debes mantener la conciencia aplicada como el ser, upayog, del saber y del ver durante todo el día.
Beautiful. So, in essence, now it says the one who has become a pure soul goes towards becoming a Paramatma. One who has become the pure soul, you and I now go towards becoming a Paramatma. And the one who becomes Paramatma, for him, Keval Gnan, absolute knowledge, manifest, not will manifest, manifests, you see. The moment Keval Gnan manifests for him, he will have become Paramatma. He will have full the wiseness complete. He will have become full. He will have become worthy of attaining the state of nirvana, final liberation. You see, with Keval Gnan, he is now he is worthy. He becomes worthy, layak, of becoming, attaining nirvana. Therefore, you should maintain the applied awareness or the upyog of the self as the self, Soyamapura, and of knowing, seeing all day long. Okay, I've just covered what you read.
Yes, 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 yes.
Now, this one here again, intellect sees Chandubai. We need to make sure that whatever Chandubai is doing, right, wrong, how he is doing, whether he is following the Agnas, not following the Agnas, all of that is part of the intellect. And we are seeing the intellect, you see. Whether he is attending satsang, whether he is not paying attention, all of that is the role of the intellect, all right? The intellect is, we should not say, I saw this. When you say, I saw and I know, in fact, it is all coming through the intellect. The intellect is making those, intellect is seeing and knowing, and that seeing and knowing is with the small s, small k, you see. The self is the continuous silent seer, knower of it. When I say the word silent, I mean non-interfering, you see.
Yes. Lo que Chandubai esté haciendo bien o mal, con o sin agnas, es parte del intelecto. Si atiende el satsang y presta atención o no, es el rol del intelecto el que lo dice. Lo que ve o no ve es del intelecto. Y ese es el conocedor y el observador, el que ve con minúsculas. El ser que ve y conoce con mayúsculas es el ser con mayúsculas y no interfiere.
Mhm. Intellect knows. Yes, the intellect also knows and sees. So I say, when I pick up the cup of this water, every time I take a sip, the first thing that I'm aware of is that the hot water is not as hot as I like it, or I like it. All of those decisions are simultaneously happening. Is there all this knowing? I know what the intellect is showing. You see, I know what the intellect is showing. Knowing that, seeing that intellect is who I am. You see, seeing that intellect is who I am.
Yes. El intelecto conoce y ve. Por ejemplo, si quieres tomar una taza de té, va a poner a calentar el agua a la temperatura justa, y todas esas son decisiones que toma el intelecto. El intelecto muestra quién es, todo con minúsculas, ¿no? El
Mhm.
intelecto muestra quién es.
Mhm. So really, again, here, the most interesting aspect of what Dada has come to is he's kind of now focused on everything that is going on with reference to what the intellect is seeing, you see. What the intellect is seeing, I see. I see what the intellect is showing. I see what the intellect shows and what the ego is following. I see, I know. So you see now, the intellect sees first, and then simultaneously in the Mahatmas, the self is seeing all that. What the intellect is seeing is in essence indriya pratyaksh, it's in front, it's facing the information coming through the five senses. You see, five senses, intellect is seeing that, and I am seeing what the intellect is seeing. You see, so I am seeing what the intellect, what the mind, what the chit, what the ego is doing. I am seeing that, but intellect is I can also see that. Now so this, but the upayog, the awareness is that upayog, you see, that all day long you should continue to see and know, you should continue to see and know what the intellect is seeing is an interesting uh, intellect, because the intellect sees this entire complex called Luz, Patricia. Intellect sees that. You see, intellect is reactive to what it sees. It reacts, whereas I, as the knower, seer of that, is simply the knower, seer, and there is no reaction from my presence. My presence, there is no reaction. The intellect may react, you see.
Ujú. Lo que sucede según el intelecto, lo que muestra, ¿no? Y el ego siempre lo sigue. El intelecto ve primero y ve primero, ¿no? Y el intelecto ve y lo ve, pero para nosotros los Mahatmas simultáneamente también es el ser el que ve con mayúsculas, conoce y ve. El intelecto entra a funcionar, a ver a partir de los cinco sentidos, ¿no? Y dice, bueno, yo veo lo que está pasando. Está el intelecto, la mente, el chit y el ego, pero es el intelecto el que dice que también puede ver lo que está sucediendo, pero la conciencia continua con mayúscula es el conocedor y el que ve es el ser. Y es interesante que el intelecto ve a Luz, ve a Patricia, pero es reactivo a lo que ve, hay una reacción a lo que ve el intelecto. Y cuando es el verdadero conocedor, el conocedor y el que ve, el ser, no hay reacción. En el intelecto sí, en el ser no.
Mhm. Mhm.
No hay reacción.
Mhm. 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 The mind thinks. Mind is a substrate of thoughts, right? And sometimes there are many, many thoughts, one kind followed by the other, followed by the other. Sometimes there is a bombardment of thoughts, you see.
Ujú.
Yeah. And the intellect, you know, you know, may or may not respond to those thoughts, Maybe just lets it continue, or the intellect gets involved with a thought because the thought shows a scene, the chit gets involved, you see, so it gets you back there, into the whole scene. The intellect gets involved, and the moment the intellect gets involved, now the ego starts seeing inside incidents that happened that were painful, you see. And so it revolves in that, you see. So that intellect made the decision to go there, you see, enter there. And the whole world of pain begins, you see. The whole world of pain begins. The same thing with pleasure. It's a very pleasant event, you see. Nothing more pleasure than a sexual event, it happened. And the intellect makes a decision, oh, beautiful, wonderful, lovely, etc., etc. The ego follows, wow, beautiful, wonderful, exquisite, ecstatic, etc. Goes there and now starts playing with it. It's a vicious cycle inside, you see. It pulls. The intellect is the one who has created all of this mischief. It can all go on, but the intellect sees it, and and there is an energy higher than the intellect, which is the energy of the self, you see. There is also the energy of the intellect that decides, the ego intellect complex that decides enough is enough, you see. This is all still happening at the relative of the non-self, you see, at the relative of the non-self. The knower, you and I, are simply continuing to know this storm, see this storm that is happening inside. Other people have no idea what's going on inside you see.
Ujú. La mente piensa, ¿no? La mente piensa, y hay muchos pensamientos, de hecho, bombardeos de pensamiento, y es el intelecto el que puede responder o no, puede responder involucrándose porque entra el cheat y trae escenas. Entonces el ego incide en eso y se mezcla en algo, en ese caos. El intelecto entra, cuando entra en los pensamientos, entra el cheat, entra el ego, todo el mundo, todo lo mundano se vuelve dolor, comienza por ahí con algo placentero, ¿no? Supongamos el sexo trae placer, el ego entra ahí, lo califica de bueno, maravilloso, extasioso, y comienza a jugar con eso, pero entra en un círculo vicioso. Y el intelecto crea en toda esta mezcla, y lo ve y puede continuar o no continuar, depende. Pero la energía del ser es el conocedor que ve toda esta tormenta que sucede en el interior.
Yeah, you see this, by the time all of this gets deeply, this is a deep involvement in that which is supposed to be seen only, you see, and getting involved in it, just, the awareness of the self that has been awakened is so sharp and so exact that when the antakaran is getting disturbed, the self, the one who has become the self, so amapura, so amapura, that one knows that this disturbance is happening, and and keeping that upayog, soyamapura, ish soyamapura, ich bin reine Seele. You see, is the exact way not to get involved in this disturbed antakaran, this, where the ego intellect gets lost, because the ego decided this is pleasure. The intellect decided this is so pleasant, it went. The ego decides, no, this leads to pain. It stays away. So the ego decisions that are made are being seen by you and I, the blissful ones, the Knower-Seers, you see.
Yes, yes. Dice, hay esta profunda forma de involucrarse, ¿no? La conciencia del ser, no, cuando alguien se involucra en todas estas situaciones mundanas que traen dolor o placer, la conciencia del ser es tan afilada que cuando ve que está surgiendo molestias, es el que puede ver esto es la energía del ser. El que se volvió alma pura ve lo que sucede, que está viendo una molestia y mantiene el upayog. Yo soy alma pura. Y esa es la exacta forma de no interferir. El intelecto dice es placentero. El ego decide si va o no, pero todas estas cosas son vistas por el conocedor y el que ve.
When it is said here what the mind is doing, the mind doesn't do anything. Mind only thinks, you see, shows, signals. At one time it will be thinking about coffee, another time it will be thinking about a sandwich, shows. Mind simply shows what the signals are coming from the body complex, you see. External signals, mind shows that. Internal signals, mind shows them. What the ego is doing is now the ego has agreed, blindly agreeing with what is happening, and therefore it executes. It says, okay, let's go for a cup of coffee, you see, because the mind showed coffee, the chit shows coffee, the intellect decides it'll be good for me, it'll help me to wake up, all right, etc., etc. And he stands up and walks towards the coffee, you see. And this activity is happening in the antakaran, you see. We cannot see that. We can see it, but what we see is the gross effects, the evident effects. Well, we don't say, what do we say? Oh, I feel like a coffee. I feel like having a coffee. Now the egoism is going on, egoism has happened. The ego is being expressed. And, wow, that coffee is good. Egoism, you see, that coffee, I know how to make coffee. You don't know how to make coffee. Egoism, you see, all of this is going on. And the self is the knower of all of that. But the intellect first sees all of this, you see. Intellect is a very powerful light, you see. Intellect is not an ordinary light within human beings, you see.
Dice que la mente muestra un café, el intelecto ve el café y dice café rico, y el chit trae la imagen del café y el ego dice, bueno, hagamos el café. Pero desde esta visión también está el intelecto que dice, ¡oh, qué rico café! Yo sé hacer café, tú no sabes hacer café. Es todo esto que se está viendo es una manifestación en el complejo del cuerpo, una expresión de la mente, el intelecto, el chit y el ego. Pero todo esto también simultáneamente es visto por el conocedor, que todo esto está sucediendo, por el ser. El ser es el que ve todo esto que está surgiendo, pero ve lo más grueso, lo más evidente, ¿no? Que es el café, la queja o gusto o placer por el café, y eso.
You know, when Dadashri says that is intellect, and to see, then the one seeing the intellect is the self, you see, is not only the intellect, but what the intellect produces, you see. Everything that the intellect, because intellect is the prime minister, it's the one that has already decided, you see. And the decision at the level of the mind, speech, and body, the president of all of that is the intellect, you see. And you and I, the blissful ones of Dada, can only see and know the decisions of the intellect, you see. Decisions of the intellect and the secondary reactive reactions within us as well as within others, you see. Because of this intellect within, you see, this intellect within. Now, so this is seeing the intellect, and then there is this direct seeing where there is no intellect, you know. When you begin to see, what you and I begin to see, what do we see? We see I'm a pura, pure soul, and the relative. And the relative means there is no opinion. The relative is the mobile one. The relative is the changing one. The relative is the top, TOPS. The relative is the revolving karmas, you see, karma effects. You see.
Yes. El intelecto siempre va a estar mostrando, viendo y mostrando, se va a ver, ¿no? Lo que produce el intelecto, lo va a estar mostrando todo el tiempo. En realidad el intelecto es el primer ministro o el presidente, ¿no? Es el que decide. Nosotros que somos los dichosos Mahatmas de Dada, vemos las decisiones del intelecto. Y las vemos en nosotros y las podemos ver en otros, ¿no? Las decisiones que toman los intelectos. Y se puede ver también que donde no hay intelecto, lo que se ve es el alma pura, y el alma pura y las personas y todo lo demás es libre de faltas. Pero en lo relativo, allí es donde existe el revuelo, ¿no? Donde existen las críticas y todo lo demás.
And now that the Dada says, the Dada essentially says, beyond the state as the self, you know, even beyond, further, even further beyond. Not absolutely beyond, but it's the same one. Before that one who says, "Eu so Arman," okay, I am Arman. You see, it was the final decision of the one who sees through the intellect. I am Arman. I see what is happening in this world. I also can see what is happening to me. I see what's happening to my body. I see how these feelings that are happening, I am feeling that way, you see. Now, so, and that is the end. That is how, and whatever this body is doing, I don't say this body is doing that. I don't say this mind is doing that. I become the owner. I am doing this. I am doing this. I'm hurting. I hurt the other human being, you see. This is all on the false operation of the false belief. This is the false belief, you see. And it's the same one now says, Soyama Pura, I now know what the intellect complex is doing, what the intellect is showing. I can see Chandubai. Seeing Chandubai means seeing everything that this other one is doing, thinking, you see, etc. I can see everything. I can also see that he is still taking false ownership, becoming a false owner of that which that is called the ego. You see, I can see what the ego that the ego has come in. You see.
Ujú. Por ejemplo, dicen, desde el cuando estamos más allá en el estado de, no completamente más allá, ¿no? Pero sí en el estado del ser, podemos decir, bueno, yo soy Germán, y veo desde el intelecto, veo el mundo, veo mi cuerpo, veo mis sentimientos, y yo me siento así o me siento así. Esta es como la forma. Yo no digo el cuerpo de Germán o Germán hirió a otra persona, es como soy yo el que hace todo eso. Y esta es la falsa creencia, ¿no? Y él mismo dice, yo soy el conocedor ahora de este complejo del intelecto. Eh, yo soy el conocedor de lo que el complejo del intelecto hace. Veo lo que Chandu hace, veo el falso dueño que es el ego cuando eh, entra en juego.
Even the one who has not received the Gnan Vidhi can stand up in front of everybody and says that in 1975 I did this, around 1991 this is what happened to me, this is how I handled it. He can see all of that. So it's the intellect that lets him, it's the light of the intellect within. It is that light of the intellect is the light of the Amapura, you see. It's the same light, except that it is being modified by this wrong belief of I am, this is happening to me, I am. It is the indirect light that is deflected by the ego. You see, it is the ego modifies what in that light, you see. It is coming through the medium of the ego. I am speaking. This is what happened to me, and this is how I decided, you see. This is how I decided. The ego modifies all of those decisions. The ego simply claims the ownership of it. It is the intellect only that made all of those decisions, later on you and I know whether that decision was right or wrong. You see, right and wrong only in terms of your own benefits. If I had done this, it would have been so good. My life would have been so much better. If only I did not marry her, my life would have been so much better, etc., etc. I say all of those decisions.
Ujú. Yes. El que no recibió el Gnan también puede estar diciendo, bueno, en el año 1990 hice tal cosa, en el 95 hice tal otra. Es la luz del intelecto la que está mostrando, ¿no? Pero la luz del ser también está allí. Lo que pasa que es como que está modificado por la ilusión, el ego modifica y reclama ser el dueño, y el que califica de que está bien o mal. Este, y desde esta luz, así como interrumpida la luz del ser por el ego, es que decimos que tomamos buenas decisiones, no buenas decisiones. Si yo no me hubiera casado, por ahí estaría feliz, o si me hubiera casado, sería feliz. Este, pero todo esto es el intelecto y el ego.
So this it's the same one. There is Moodha Atma, Moodha Atma, absolutely. Moodha Atma, you see, is zero awareness of who am I, you see. He is zero awareness of the self. Moodha Atma, you see. Moodha Atma. I'll write this down in the chat for you.
Mood
Moodha.
Atma
Moodha.
es cero conciencia de quién verdaderamente soy.
I see. Totally ignorant self. He knows, but he doesn't know. Ignorant of the self, you see,
Es la
Atma.
total ignorancia del ser.
Yeah. He doesn't know that he really is the self, you see. Moodha Atma, the same one now becomes Shuddha Atma, you see. Shuddha Atma, you all know. And then the same one automatically progresses to become the Paramatma automatically. You see, Dadashri says, and now the Shuddhatma and the Paramatma, the one who has become Shuddha Atma, the pure soul, now moves. For the only moment possible for this one who says, Ich bin reine Seele, ahu Shuddha Atma chu, soyama pura. The only option for the one, the only movement, there is no option. The only movement for the Shuddha Atma, the pure one, is to move in the direction of the self only, the absolute self, you see. In the direction of the absolute self. There is no further going in that other direction, you see. Same one.
Yes,
Same one.
yes. Bueno, Mudatma es cero conciencia de quién soy, es la ignorancia del ser. Pero y avanzamos gracias a Gnani Dada, Ayudatma, ¿no? Y es un progreso, el progreso para ser Paratma, que es el
Paramatma.
ser
Param.
Paramatma.
Yeah.
Y de ahí vamos al ser absoluto. No hay otra dirección.
Well, what is the difference? Moodhatma, is the kingdom of the ego intellect complex. Shuddhatma, the ego, the light of the self has arisen. Shuddha Atma, the pure self, awareness has begun. And the Paramatma movement towards the Paramatma, the progression towards the Absolute is through the vision as the self, you see, which is the five Agnas. The five Agna vision lets you move towards the absolute self, you see.
Ujú. Muratma es el ego, Shuddhatma es llega a la luz del ser, la conciencia, y Paramatma es una progresión hacia la absoluta visión en el ser, ¿no? Y con las 5 Agnas.
Mm-hmm. So this here, when Dadashri says, you see, the one the one who has become the pure soul, goes towards becoming the Paramatma, a Paramatma. Every Paramatma, every soul is separate, you see. Separate means they're, the Hinduism, the Hindus say that all souls are one and the same, and all souls are part of the big soul. You see, one big soul. And the vision of the fully enlightened ones, Lord Mahavir, and the vision of the Tirthankars is that these are individual journeys. You see, they are not the journey of the other, and the accomplishment of the other doesn't have anything to do with you. That is his part, you see. All souls are separate, but at with reference to their qualities and their real existence, that is, they are with reference to their qualities, they are one and the same. You see, this is the quality, there is no difference, you see. Mm-hmm.
Dice que, bueno, que Paramatma está en la progresión absoluta con la visión del ser y las 5 Agmas. Y cada alma por separado, para Paramatma. Los hinduistas dicen que somos una gran alma, pero para el Lord Mahavir y los Tirthankars dicen que es un viaje individual, ¿no? Que también son almas separadas. Se refieren a un alma porque todas las almas tienen la misma cualidad. Esa es la referencia. Todas las almas tienen las mismas cualidades, pero el viaje es individual.
Yeah, see, this belief that I am only a fraction of that big one. I'm only a fraction of that big one. And ultimately, if I will merge into him as the fraction only, is an incorrect view. You see, you as the real one that you are, that is who you are, and now you will continue to rise in your self-awareness, in your Atma vision. You see, your Atma vision is absolutely independent. You see, it cannot be affected by any external entity. No external entity can modify your rise, into the Paramatma. No entity, no external influence can change that, you see.
Ujú. Dice que creer que soy una fracción del todo es la visión incorrecta. La visión del ser es absolutamente independiente, lo cual nos vuelve absolutamente intocables, separados, que nada nos puede afectar en este ser.
Yeah. The visions, the understanding of the Jains or the Hindus, you see, is limited, is relative, you see, because they have not experienced the real, you see. They have not experienced the I, you see. On this The correct vision begins only after the experience of the I. And the my has gone on the other side. My understanding, my religion, my God, everything is gone. Where the word my comes in, it all becomes relative. And the other way, it very simple. There are two viewpoints to this, you see.
Ujú. Dice que el entendimiento de los jainistas o hinduistas es relativo, porque no tienen la experiencia de lo real, del ser verdadero. Solo después de tener la experiencia del ser, comienza la correcta visión, ¿no? Entonces, donde podemos, todo lo que digamos mío, hice o así, eso tiene que ver con lo relativo. Y bueno, y Dada dice que para poder entender solo hay dos puntos de vista, ¿no?
And therefore, you see, these satsangs cannot be mixed with satsangs of people who have not realized the self, you see. People who have not realized the self have no understanding of what is going on in our satsangs, you see. Yes, Luz, yes. Yes, Luz.
Perdón, dice, estos satsang, este satsang de Dada que estamos recibiendo, no pueden mezclarse con otros, ¿no? Porque esto tiene que ver con los que hemos encontrado la realización del ser, hemos recibido el Gnan. Luz, seguí, por favor, perdón.
Jay Saritana ayuda.
Jai Sachidananda.
Al escuchar lo del el alma, Luz está con mucha taquicardia. Entonces la pregunta es, ¿todos los seres vivos tienen alma? Los que fueron separados por Dada, alma pura. Y ahí viene el camino individual para llegar al ser absoluto, al Paramatma. Esto es así. Y también preguntar si desde el camino Kramik
Espera,
se
dame un
llega
momento porque si no, me mezclo. Va. Primero es todos los seres que tienen vida tienen alma, ¿no? Y que haber tomado el Nan es el comienzo perfecto.
al
Vamos
alma
por ahí
pura.
primero.
Es el
Sí, sí,
comienzo al alma
sí,
pura.
sí, sí, sí. Um, Lou's question is if every living beings have a soul, and if if after Dada's Gnanvidi we start being alma pura. That's the four questions.
Y todas
Espera,
esas
acá,
almas
una sola
puras,
pregunta.
a ver,
Bueno, dale, seguí. Y
porque
todas
es la
esas almas
misma,
puras.
todas esas almas puras separadas por el Nani, llegan al ser absoluto. Es un camino que sigue.
And the next part of the question is if all that pure souls that receive Gnan and have been separated, everyone's attained the Paramatma, Paratma, the absolute.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you see, that is now, once you come home, then only your space and your moment is only inside your home only. You see, this is the home that has everything. You see, that this is the home which is not influenced by any external things. You see, the self that has realized the self, the soul, the one, the body has realized the self, the one who has moved from the wrong belief that I am living and I will die, the one who has moved into the exact space in which there is no birth and no death. It is exactly the space of the eternal. The eternal will, the awareness of the eternal that you and I have, you see, the awareness, that awareness itself is the that eternal, that awareness of the eternal grows automatically through the vision of the eternal. The vision of the eternal is to see and know. Now you are the seer and knower of that which is happening. And Dadashri gives very specific agnas for us, because we are not complete pure souls. We are pure souls, through conviction. We are pure souls through a little experience. And the awareness, the application of that awareness makes us rise more and more in the experience of who we really are. So we don't have to do anything, but most important is we have to understand, and then Agnas, with the understanding, the Agnas is always there. Why is the Agna always there? Because the light is always there. Agna means the light. Agna means the light of the self. Sorry, it's too long, but go ahead.
No, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dice que absolutamente a lo que tú preguntas, sí, es así. Es así. El que nace, el que vive en el mundo, absolutamente así. Dice que una vez que llegamos al hogar, el espacio dentro de tu hogar tiene absolutamente todo y no puede ser afectado por nada externo. El que vive pensando que, bueno, nací y voy a morir, bueno, está en lo relativo. Pero en lo eterno, en ese espacio, no hay nacimiento ni muerte, porque somos seres eternos. Entonces, en el eterno deseo por sí mismo, ¿no? De crecer desde el alma, crece automáticamente y crece en el conocedor y el que ve de todo lo que sucede. Y Dada nos regala, nos dio las agnas, para que el alma pura pueda, para poder entender, tener la convicción, la experiencia, y cuanto mayor entendimiento y conocimiento, esta experiencia va en aumento. Y así vamos evolucionando, creciendo y acercándonos al absoluto alma pura. ¿Y qué son las agnas? Las agnas siempre están allí. Y es la luz del alma pura, las agnas.
Mm-hmm. So I've written some further more explanation in the chat. Marcella will give it to you. But you see, the work that you and I have known in this life is over. Our work is done. Dada said today, and we have covered it in this series of satsangs. Today is the 5th one or the 6th one. You see, that after the Gnan Vidi, having become the pure souls, there is nothing left for us to be done. The only thing is to see what the intellect is doing. The role of the intellect is to execute, make decisions. You see, the intellect decides this, the intellect decides this. And you can see the decisions of the intellect from morning till night, and also when you can't sleep, you can see what the intellect decides, All right. So you see, in other words, in the seeing and the knowing, there is nothing further to be done, you see. But what? All I just have to continue to see and know only? And Dadashri will say, yeah, but it is not easy this way. You'll first have to understand and become more and more solid, stable, still in Swayamapura. See, and that means the Agnas, you see. That means the Agnas.
Ujú. That's beautiful. El trabajo está hecho, ¿no? Luego del Granviti no hay nada más que hacer, dice Dada. Solo ver qué es lo que el intelecto decide o qué es lo que el intelecto ejecuta, desde la mañana hasta la noche. Y también sucede cuando dormimos. Dada entiende, con Dada es lo que nos dice es mantenernos en el alma pura, con las 5 agnas, en un estado sólido, estable y calmo.
Do you have any follow-up questions, my dear Luz? Do you want to ask? You understand?
¿Tienes otra pregunta, Luz?
Because you asked about Kramik. Kramik is
No, she didn't say Kramik. She says if every soul if every living being have a soul, and after Nan, we are all attain the Paramatma. Paramatma.
Yeah. You see, every living, anything that lives and dies, everything that lives and dies has the eternal element called the seeing knowing, you see, the seeing knowing, you see. And in its presence, life appears, you see, life appears, blossoming of a flower, blossoming of a little baby into a little young girl or young man, young woman and man, blossoming, you see. And in the absence of that soul, that I just drops dead, you see. The energy, and we call it death, it's died. You see? That is the Ama within everyone. In its presence, there is life as we know it. In its absence, there is that individual death, whether it is of a plant, an animal, or a human being, you see.
Todo lo que tiene vida, lo que nace, muere. Y tiene un conocimiento y visión también, ¿no? Que puede atraerle miedos o inquietudes, ¿no? Entonces podemos ver cómo una flor florece, cómo nace un bebé y se transforma en un adulto, y todo, absolutamente todo tiene alma. Y cuando en ausencia del alma no hay vida. La vida está cuando el alma está presente. Y el alma está presente en todo lo vivo.
The glorious self, Ama, cannot be seen with these eyes, but with this knowledge. Yes, it is being seen. We see the Ama because this man who has come to your home, or this lady who is visiting you, is actively, moving about, doing everything, you see. And then you get the news that he dropped dead or she is no longer living. What does it mean? What does it mean? Means that in whose presence this woman was laughing, kissing, hugging you, and who's in his whole absence, it is nothing. That is the Ayma. That is the Ayma. That's the Ayma. That is the Shuddha Atma. That's the pure Atma.
Yes. Dice que el ser glorioso del alma no puede verse con los ojos, con estos ojos humanos, pero sí podemos ver el alma desde el ser. Y puedes tener gente que quiere, así te enteras un día que ya no vive más. Y esa persona tal vez te acompañaba, te besaba o te abrazaba y ahora no está más. Estás con esta ausencia, pero es este conocimiento, esta experiencia, todo esto nos lleva a Shuddhatma.
That in whose presence Patricia is able to translate all of this. And that
Yes.
in whose presence this satsang is happening. You see, that is the Ayma, that is the pure soul, you see. And all of this is the energized relative self. This energy that we are receiving, the relative self is receiving this energy. The Amapura doesn't need that energy. Amapura has got all the energies, infinite energies. But, this relative souls are in satsang, are getting some special energy, some more energy for not to move mountains or to do big work, but to simply go more and more in the understanding and the experience of who we really are. This has never happened before. You see, this such an easy way. It has never happened in the history of this world of ours. You see.
Ujú. En esta presencia del alma, de Shuddhatma, podemos estar en satsang. Patricia puede traducir y en este satsang recibimos esta maravillosa energía que también toca y energiza a lo relativo, ¿no? El alma pura es energía infinita. Y a través del entendimiento y de la experiencia que estamos recibiendo sobre quién realmente somos, es maravilloso.
So, yes.
Quería hacer una pregunta a Luis, Carlos.
No te escucho bien, acércate al micrófono, por favor.
Yes. Yes, Carlos.
Ahora,
Sí, a ver.
la ayuda
Ajay Sachidanand, yes.
es una gitana,
Sachidanand.
es una y quería preguntar un poquito, a ver qué me dices tú. Hola.
No te entiendo, se entrecorta, no, perdón, no entiendo.
A ver, ahora un segundito que voy a hacer algo.
Carlos, apaga la cámara, por ahí se te escucha mejor, apaga la cámara. A ver ahora.
Ahí voy, ¿ahora se me escucha?
Yes,
Perfecto,
¿Cómo me sale?
perfecto. Sí, sí,
A ver que me alteró el teléfono. No importa que me escuchen.
sí.
¿Sí?
Te escucho, dale.
El tema es el siguiente, que me sucedió con una frase que que subieron de dicha por dada, ¿no? Como que el sufrimiento, más nos mantenemos separados y eso aceleraba más el proceso de estar más cerca de dada, ¿sí? Pero saltó mal el relativo, porque el relativo, su defensa en sí, en su vida, ante los dolores y demás, era yo no nací para sufrir. Y me generó un conflicto raro, ¿sí? Que todavía está dando vueltas y bueno, se lo entrego a Dada. Pero bueno, quería si por ahí Shuddha me decía algo al respecto.
Que te explique algo sobre esto, ¿no?
Claro, a ver si
Perfecto,
está bien como lo estoy manejando. ¿Sí? Gracias.
está bien. Yo quiero entender para poder traducirle nada más. Bueno, Carlos' question is that when we suffer and keep separate, this keep us near Dada. But but no, we said, or and in this relative word, that I don't born to suffer. If you can explain something about this.
Mm-hmm. The when you see what is happening to Carlos, you see, and when you see this suffering, when the suffering is happening, if you can see that this is happening in the mind of Carlos, in the body of Carlos, then you are already separate, you see.
Uh-huh. Dice que cuando puedes ver lo que le sucede a Carlos y ves el sufrimiento, y cuando lo ves, ver qué sucede, está sucediendo en la mente de Carlos o en el cuerpo de Carlos, ahí estás separado.
Mm-hmm. You see, and the suffering increases by saying, I am suffering. This is happening to me. You see, or you have become the owner of the suffering. You are not the owner of the suffering. You are the knower of the suffering. You see.
Uh-huh. Dice que el sufrimiento crece cuando vos decís, yo sufro o esto me está sucediendo a mí. Pero cuando tú lo puedes ver, no, cuando puedes ver que el sufrimiento está sucediendo en el cuerpo o en la mente de Carlos, ahí ya desaparece.
And the easiest way to get out of suffering is the easiest way to understand, easiest way to get yourself, easiest way out of any suffering is your Gnan. You see who you are. Oh, Soamapura, Soyamapura, and the sentences of the Siddha Stuti, you see, these sentences of the Siddha Stuti, which is essentially, in our Charan Vedi, I am pure soul, you see, I'm pure.
What we really are, no?
What we really are, the Siddha Stuti, sentences
Yes.
of the self, you see, all the sentences of the self, you see. This is
Yes.
the easiest way out of it. There is a more difficult way out of it, is, which is to keep on saying, oh, I'm suffering so much, nobody can understand my pain. This person is the reason why I'm suffering. This other person is the reason I'm suffering. Now you are swimming in the ocean of pain, you see. You are only company.
Entonces lo más fácil para salir del sufrimiento es el Gnan, ¿no? Estar en yo soy alma pura. y en recitar todas las oraciones del Siddha Stuti, que en las oraciones del Siddha Stuti son las cualidades del alma y es lo que realmente somos. Y una manera de seguir sufriendo, que tengas sufrimiento garantizado y que lo aumentes, es diciendo, yo sufro tanto, esto me está sucediendo a mí, esto me pasa por culpa de otros. Entonces ahí el sufrimiento se mantiene.
You see, sometimes you cannot jump into. You see, sometimes when you say, I am pure soul, I am absolute soul, I am full of infinite energy, when you say that, it feels as if it's not working. Then you have to begin, before you say that, you say, I surrender this mind, I surrender this mind, this body, these words, unto your lotus feet, O Dada Bhagwan, I surrender. And please come and sit in my heart, my Lord. And now I am going to repeat the sentences that you have given me of the Siddha Stuti. Then begin. You see, now say, Soyama Pura. I am Absoluto Amapura. I am this only, and just for, say it over and over again, I'm pure, I'm absolutely pure. You see, say that over and over again and again, because then you are in the right place and then you are saying it. You are not in Carlos, you are here in the Ama and then you are saying it, you see.
Ujú. Dice, no podemos saltar directamente a decir yo soy alma pura, y estar ahí, ¿no? Tal vez es hacer un bidding, decir te entrego dada, te entrego mi mente, mi cuerpo, mis palabras, todos mis karmas a los pies de loto del ser absolutamente manifestado en ti. Y ahí te entregás y le pedís que se sienta en tu corazón y que te guíe y repetís las oraciones del Siddha Tuti. Entonces estás en el lugar correcto,
Yeah,
exacto lugar.
yeah. See, this.
Shuddha, may I share something? When I was ill, Patricia doesn't have to say, I'm going to keep separate. It simply happens. I Patricia do Tri Mantra and start doing Vidi. And at some moment there was no guiding, nothing. It happens, Vidi, Samaik, Practica. And I saw Patricia doing Practicrama, no, all the process that it happened. And it was it was shocking for me seeing that it happens. Patricia was doing nothing. It's
Yeah.
like Patricia was in another place and
Yeah, and what you just described is the intellect is saying all of that, you see. It's the intellect describing all of this, you see. And
yes.
and you you just now know that intellect is describing what happened, you see.
Yes.
You see,
Yes.
it's the intellect. When you see what the intellect just described, the description, all of that is who you are, you see. So coming back to Carlos, go ahead, just you can relate that in, yeah.
I translate what I shared.
Yeah. So just
Lo que a mí me llamó la atención cuando pasé el tema de la enfermedad es que bueno, hacía trimantra y comenzaba el vidi y después era como que todo sucedía automáticamente, ¿no? Como no era que estaba a la cabeza, solo sucedía. Y había un vidi, sucedía el samaik y después veía a Patricia haciendo practikraman. Y eso me llamaba mucho la atención, como todo sucedía por sí mismo. Y Shuddha me dice que ahora el intelecto está viendo y viendo qué era lo que sucedió.
the experience of the self is beyond anything that the intellect sees. you see.
La experiencia del ser está más allá de todo lo que el intelecto vea.
Intellect, ego, I did this, yeah, I did that, etc. Yes, continuing with Carlos, my dear. Carlos.
Algo, yes, ¿entendiste, Carlos? ¿Tenés alguna otra pregunta?
Yes, so then you see the here's
Perfecto.
a
Justamente me bajó toda esta información hablando con Dada, pero a veces sabemos que el ego hace que vos escuches lo que quieras escuchar, ¿viste? Nada más que por eso quería reconfirmarlo. Gracias, Shuddha.
Yes, he understands and he's grateful.
Yes,
Thank you.
see,
¿Puedo hacer una pregunta?
yes.
Anila has a question too.
Yes. One only finishing with Carlos. Carlos, any suffering, any sense of suffering, whether it is in the mind or in the body or through words, it's a signal for us. All of that immediately results in you, the presence of the Amapura. The Amapura is there, you know, and so you can see the suffering at its finest level, slice. You can see it because you are separate. That only shows you that that only means you're separate. If you're not separate, you cannot see this suffering. You see, you only suffer the suffering. You see, go on, go on.
Yes.
Mm.
Para vos, Carlos, ¿no? Que cualquier sentido de sufrimiento en presencia del alma pura, puedes ver hasta las más finas capas del sufrimiento. Cuando puedes ver el sufrimiento y puedes ver el que sufre, entonces es el alma pura la que está allí.
Yeah, you see, as the self, you see, for we Mahatmas, as soon as any kind of pain or disturbance or difficulty arises, automatically, we don't have to do anything to separate ourselves. Automatically, we can see this. You see, the mistake we make is, this is happening to me, I am suffering. Now we're in trouble the moment you say that. You can see it. See it. That's it. See it.
Cuando podemos ver que surge algo que pueda causar sufrimiento, lo podemos ver, automáticamente ver, ¿no?
Yeah. Yes, and one more thing about suffering is there is two types of suffering. Suffering, Carlos suffers pain and Carlos suffers pleasure. You see? And that belongs to Carlos. That cannot be changed. The seeing is all that makes the difference. The seeing, you are free. In seeing, you are free. You see?
Yes, beautiful. Dice que hay dos tipos de sufrimientos, ¿no? Uno es el dolor y otro es el placer. Y ambos pertenecen a Carlos y no pueden ser cambiados. Pero en el ver el sufrimiento y el que sufre, vos sos libre.
Yes. Yes, Anila. Anila?
Ya, es una pregunta un poco básica en relación al tema anterior. Como todo ser vivo tiene alma pura, ¿qué pasa con nuestro planeta? ¿Tiene alma pura también?
Ajá. Every living being has an alma pura, and the question is if the planet, our planet, has an alma pura.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that lives, know for sure, anything that lives, blossoms, glows, grows, dies. Is this exact proof that that was in the presence of the Amapura. You see, when the Amapura leaves, there is nothing called Amapura leaving. It is that which has arisen, grown, blossomed, flourished, and becomes weak and old and dies, is happening, and the Amapura is always there to see and know that. You see, it's Amapura is always there. We have now entered into that exact experience and awareness of that, you see, and therefore we are not affected. You see, this is that Prakriti, the Prakriti, that which arises, remains for a while, and then starts dying. You know, it is dying from the birth till the death, but it appears this way, you see, up, remaining, and then slowly going old, you see.
Para Anila, ¿no? Que sí, dice, y que todo lo que vive florece, crece, es la exacta prueba de que existe el alma pura, que hay un alma pura. Es nacen, crecen, florecen, divinos, después comienza a como a desgastarse, envejecer y muere. Pero el alma pura siempre está allí para ver, ¿no? Está la conciencia, y no en conciencia, y no somos afectados de ninguna manera. Esto de que en este proceso de nacer, florecer y marchitarse y morir, eso es el Prakruti.
I'm writing down the number. There are 14, this is called lakh. In Gujarati and in Hindi, it's called, in India, it's called lakhs. 14 lakhs, you see, 14 followed by 5 zeros, you see, layers over the soul, you see, and over the soul, you see, of a human being, you see, there are layers, but over the soul, not on the human being. Whereas only when are the last 50,000 layers remain that you begin the search of who am I, you know. So life after life and various life forms, plant, fish, animal, human being, you see. These layers get removed, they kind of fall off, so there is more light, more light, more light, more light, but that remains the light of the intellect. Finally, the Gnani Purush, the one with the absolute knowledge, lifts you up into the glorious experience of the self that is beyond, that is without any covering, that has happened to us in the Gnanvidhi by 2%, you see, 2% experience of the Gnanvidhi.
Yes. Hay 1.400.000 capas sobre el alma en este camino de los seres vivos. Cuando llega a 15.000 capas, comienzas a buscar quién realmente eres. Esto es desde las plantas, los peces, los animales, los seres humanos. Y así en este camino cada vez hay más luz, pero es la luz del intelecto. Finalmente aparece un Gnani Purush que tiene todo el conocimiento, que viene y te eleva y te lleva a la gloriosa experiencia del ser que recibimos en el Gnanviri, que es de un 2%.
So you see, it's there. And it is so subtle, that even what appears to be non-living, like this earth, there is life in the smallest particles there, there is life. You cannot see it. You and I cannot see it, but the Tirthankar Lord, the fully enlightened ones can see it. Life, life, life. It is, and this life that we see in front of us, you see, the humans, the animal kingdom, and the plant kingdom, etc., etc. This has existed for eternity. It always was, and always it will be. It is always there, and it keeps on changing, and we see the changing phases of this. You see the changing phases of this. A little tiny plant, a big tree, changing phases. A little baby, human baby, an old man, changing phases of that which is now understood as relative for all of us. It's just relative, The ownership of it, complicates everything. The ownership is the illusion. The ownership is my plant, my garden, my dog.
Yes.
Mm.
Dice que la Tierra es tan sutil que no parece viva la Tierra, pero sí hay pequeñas partículas que los titancas la pueden ver. Y hay vida en la Tierra, están los seres humanos, está el reino animal, el reino vegetal. Esto existió desde siempre, es eterno y va a seguir existiendo y va a estar en continuo proceso de cambio, ¿no? Y como va a ser una planta desde un pequeño brote y se va a transformar en un árbol, en una planta, los animales, los bebés, que todo está en evolución, pero todo esto es relativo. Pero lo que complica esto es cuando el dueño es el que complica absolutamente todo. Y es cuando aparece el mío, me hicieron o yo hice. Eso es lo que complica absolutamente todo, es la ilusión.
Yes. Let us just continue with some of the reading.
Ujú.
Yes. This here. So next, then, Dada, does this mean that after the state of the pure soul, is the next state that of Paramatma?
Interlocutor. ¿Significa eso que después del estado del alma pura, el siguiente estado es de Paramatma?
And so Dadashri replies, the pure soul is itself the Paramatma, absolute self, but Keval Gnan, absolute knowledge, has not yet manifested, arisen. Once the pure soul attains Keval Gnan, one becomes Paramatma. Absolute knowledge. Absolute knowledge means nothing else. Absolute I only.
Dadashri dice que el alma pura es en sí misma Paramatma, pero el Kevalgnan aún no se ha manifestado. Una vez que el Kevalgnan que el alma obtiene el GVl, uno se convierte en Paramatma.
Yes. Oh, let me see. Yeah. So that we will. So this is, we'll stop here for the day, but let us just come back here.
Drink a little bit of water, please.
So let us see what the intellect is seeing, and let us see the self. So the intellect shows Patricia, Shuddha, Luz, and the self shows us the self. See? When Dada is talking about this process of the Knower-Seer, the process of the Knower-Seer begins by saying the self, Soyama Pura, and this one is Reinhild and Amapura, Anila and Amapura, Harman and Amapura, see? Kimochi and Amapura, you see? So this is the precise method and the path that Dadashri has laid out for us. And this is the path that will automatically lead to GVl Gnan, absolute I. Absolute I. ¿Sí?
El intelecto nos muestra, esta es Patricia, esta ayuda, esta es luz, pero nosotros, el ser ve lo que está viendo el intelecto. Y Dada nos dice que este proceso de ser el conocedor y el que ve comienza viendo el alma pura. Entonces vemos a Nila, el alma pura, a Germán, alma pura, Shuddha, alma pura, Kimochi, alma pura. Ese es
Tato
el
Amapura. Tato
Tato,
Amapura.
alma pura.
Yaya
Todo.
Amapura.
Ya, alma pura.
You see?
Eh,
When Tato is being seen by the intellect, we bypass the intellect and see Amapura. We bypass the intellect, or we can say that the intellect is showing us Luz, Reinhild, Carlos. Intellect shows us that. And we simultaneously see Amapura, Amapura, Amapura.
Bueno, podemos ver a todos los que estamos acá, y más allá de recibir la señal de los nombres, inmediatamente vamos al alma pura. Y esto es el camino, es el preciso método que nos dio Dadal para llegar al GVl.
Shuddha Atma Bhagwan, highest namaskars. Yeah. Kimochi. Yeah, everyone. Moni, Alicia, Claudia, Elena. Yes. Oh, Rosie and Jai Sachidanand. Jai
Jai
Sachidanand.
Sachitana, Susan.
Cecilia.
Thank you so much,
Yes.
Shuddha.
Devdasi. Jai Sachidanand.
Jai
Sachitana, Sugar, thank you.
Thank you.
Sachidanand.
Gracias, Patri. Jai Sachitana.
A todos, gracias a todos. A todos.
Thank you, Patricia and Marcella.
Oh,
Yeah.
Suda, thank you. Sentada. Thank you.
Jai Sachitana,
Jai
Shuddha.
Sachidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Jai Satchidanand.
Jai Sachidanand.
Alma pura.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Alicia.
Bye.
Have a good morning. Buenas noches. Yeah? Elena. Yes. Yes.